Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Insha'Allah ta'ala, I will continue with the rulings regarding Qurbani. So to divide the meat into three parts is mustahab, keeping one part for your family and the second part for your relatives and friends and the third for the poor. This is mustahab. So one part for the poor, one for your relatives and friends and one for your family. This is mustahab. Mustahab is an action. If you do it, you get thawab, reward. If you don't do it, if you leave it, there's no sin. Hence, if a person kept the meat, he didn't distribute the meat, he won't be sinful. He won't be sinful. And if one missed his Qurbani, then he will purchase the animal and he will give it as sadaqah to the poor, or he will pay the price of that animal and give the price to the poor. He will purchase a goat or cow and give that as sadaqah, or he can give the price of a goat to the poor with the intention of sadaqah. So this is if he misses the Qurbani. The Qurbani time I mentioned for the one living in a village where there's no Eid namaz, it's from Fajr on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah till the beginning of Maghrib on the 12th of Dhul Hijjah. And for the one living in a city where the Eid namaz takes place, the time of slaughtering begins after Eid namaz till the Maghrib of the 12th of Dhul Hijjah. So if one couldn't perform Qurbani, then he will give sadaqah with the intention, he will give to the poor the price of a goat, or he can purchase a cow and give that with the intention of sadaqah to the poor. And remember, each and every shareholder must intend the pleasure of Allah. If he intends to attain the meat, the Qurbani will not be valid. None of their Qurbani will be valid. None of their Qurbani will be valid. If any one of the shareholders intends meat, his intention should be for Allah. So I mentioned before, in a big animal, cow, buffalo, camel, there can be 7 shares. Each and every person must intend the pleasure of Allah Ta'ala. If he intends to attain the meat, the Qurbani will not be valid. None of the Qurbani will be valid. If anyone's share is less than the 7th part, the Qurbani will not be valid. None of their Qurbani will be valid. For example, I mentioned that if the cow is for £85, the 7th part is £12. If any one of the shareholders had put less than £12 their share, their Qurbani will not be valid. None of the shareholders' Qurbani will be valid in this case. So one can put more than one share, but each shareholder's share must not be less than the 7th part. And if there is any non-Muslim from amongst the shareholders, none of their Qurbani will be valid. If whilst slaughtering the animal, the one slaughtering the animal forgets to recite the takbir, Bismillahi Allahu Akbar, the Qurbani will be valid. But if he intentionally leaves the takbir, he doesn't say Bismillahi Allahu Akbar and slaughters the animal will not be halal, the Qurbani will not be valid. So the one or those who are involved in the action of slaughtering, they must recite the takbir loud enough for their ears to hear the sound of their voice. And if there is any obstruction, their noise, but they had recited loud enough that if there was no noise, no obstruction, they would have heard themselves. In this case, the Qurbani will be valid. Another very, very, very important mas'ala. If one appointed an agent to do his Qurbani on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, in Pakistan for example, someone in the UK appointed his agent that you do my Qurbani on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. This is allowed. The agent is known as a wakil. Now let's say Eid fell a day before the Eid of UK. For example, Eid fell on 12th of July, Wednesday 12th of July, for example, and in Pakistan, Wednesday 12th of July, and it fell a day later in England on the 13th of July. So will the Qurbani be valid? Yes, the Qurbani will be valid. As long as the wakil, the agent, performs the Qurbani in the days of Qurbani in his city, the Qurbani will be valid on behalf of the client, the one who appointed the agent, the muwakkil. So the one slaughtering the animal, if the time of Qurbani has arrived, the days of Qurbani have arrived, and he performed the Qurbani will be valid on behalf of the client, muwakkil, as long as the wakil slaughtered the animal in the days of Qurbani according to his city, his area. And it's mentioned that there are 4 veins to be cut. How many? 4 veins to be cut when slaughtering an animal: the windpipe, channel of breath, the gullet, channel of food and drink which lies beneath the windpipe, and the 2 blood vessels on the sides of the neck encompassing the windpipe. They are called wadajain. If 3 from the 4 veins were cut, or most part of each vein was cut, then the slaughtered animal is halal. If one did not mention the name of Allah purposely when slaughtering the animal, then the slaughtered animal has become haram to eat. If one unintentionally forgot to pray it, then it is halal. Likewise, to slaughter in such a manner that the knife stroke reaches the brain, or the head is chopped off, then it is makruh, offensive to eat the meat. Then it is makruh to eat the meat, though the meat is lawful. And share of aqiqah can also be included in the Qurbani, in the sacrifice. So in the big animals, the cow, buffalo, camel, if any of the shareholders intend aqiqah, this will also be valid. The rest of the shareholders, their Qurbani will not be affected. Their Qurbani will be valid. And also, if one sold the skin of the sacrificed animal in exchange for money, not with the intention of using its price for oneself or one's children, but to give it in charity, then it is right. So with this intention, he can sell the skin, that he will attain money, and then he will give this money to charity. In this case, it's allowed. And one must intend to attain the pleasure of Allah Ta'ala when he does Qurbani. Allah said, فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. Pray namaz, salah, and perform Qurbani for your Lord. فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. Pray for your Lord and perform the Qurbani for Allah Ta'ala. So one must make an intention before performing the Qurbani that he's doing this to attain the closeness of Allah Ta'ala. If he intends meat, his Qurbani will not be valid. And also, the father must get permission if he wants to do his son's Qurbani or his wife's Qurbani. He must tell them before